Level 1. The Altar Boy. You're 10 years old, in a small parish in rural Italy. The priest chose you. Not everyone gets chosen. Your mother cried when she found out. She lit a candle at the altar and thanked God personally. Your job is simple. You carry the candle. You ring the bell at the consecration. You pour the water over the bishop's hands when he visits. You wear white robes that are too big for you, and you try not to trip on the stairs. But you watch everything. You watch how the priest moves through the church like he owns it, how grown men bow their heads when he speaks, how the collection basket fills up every Sunday and gets carried into the back room and never mentioned again. One afternoon, you wander into the sacristy looking for your forgotten scarf. You see the priest on the phone speaking in low, fast Latin. He sees you. He stops. He smiles. He tells you God rewards those who see nothing and say nothing. You nod. You don't know it yet, but you just passed your first test. Level 2. The Seminarian. You're 18. You've entered the seminary outside of Rome. 200 other young men just like you, bright, devoted, ambitious. You study theology, philosophy, canon law, and ancient languages. You wake at 5 a.m. You pray 7 times a day at scheduled hours. You eat in silence while someone reads from the scriptures aloud. The rules are total. No phone after 9 p.m., no visits from women, no questioning doctrine in class 1, only explaining it. But the real education happens after hours. In the courtyard, older seminarians tell you things in whispers. That there are 2 Vatican cities, the one tourists photograph, and the one that runs the world, that the Vatican Bank holds accounts for arms dealers, dictators, and intelligence agencies, that certain cardinals haven't set foot in a church in years because they're too busy in government buildings. You file this information away. You say nothing. You pray harder. Not because you doubt your faith, but because you're starting to understand that faith and power are 2 very different things and you want both. Level 3. The Ordained Priest. You're 26. You've taken your vows. You are now officially a soldier of God. You're assigned to a parish in Naples. Within a week, you understand something that no seminary class prepared you for. The parish is a machine. Money flows in every Sunday. Wealthy families donate to have their sins forgiven, their children baptized with extra ceremony, their dead buried in the best plots. You are expected to manage these relationships. A local politician comes to confession every Friday. You learn things about him that could destroy his career. He knows that you know. He donates generously. You are also expected to send monthly reports to your diocese bishop, not about the spiritual health of your flock, about the community, the mood, the politics, who's unhappy, who's organizing, who's causing problems. You realize that the confessional isn't just a sacrament, it's the oldest intelligence-gathering operation in human history. You send your reports. You ask no questions. You are promoted to the diocesan office within 2 years, faster than anyone in your class. Level 4. The Recruited. You're 31. A senior monsignor approaches you after a retreat in Florence. He has no official title on his card, just a name and a phone number in Vatican City. He tells you that the church has always had men who work in the shadows, men who protect the institution from the threats that the institution cannot publicly acknowledge. He asks if you believe in the church not just as a spiritual body, but as a civilizational force. You say yes. He slides an envelope across the table. Inside is an invitation to a private gathering at a villa outside of Rome. You go. There are 40 men there. Priests, bishops, a judge, 2 professors, a retired general. No phones allowed at the door. What happens inside stays inside, not as a threat, but as a covenant. You are told you have been observed for years, your discretion, your intelligence, your loyalty. They are inviting you to become part of something older than any nation on earth. A brotherhood that has guided the church through heresy, revolution, war, and modernity. You take the oath. You are given a number, not a name. You are now connected to a network of men in 40 countries who owe each other everything. Level 5. The Vatican Diplomat. You're 37. You are now a papal nuncio, the Vatican's ambassador. Your first posting is in a Central African nation currently on the edge of civil war. Your apartment is in a walled compound on a hill. You have a cook, a driver, and 2 bodyguards supplied by the government, which means they report everything you do back to the government. Your official job is to represent the Holy See at state functions, monitor the local church, and facilitate communication between bishops and Rome. Your actual job is more complex. You carry messages that cannot be emailed. You meet with rebel leaders in the back rooms of churches because the Vatican has been asked to broker a ceasefire and the Vatican asks for something in return. Mineral rights, political favors, the release of a bishop who knows too much to be left in a foreign jail. You are beginning to understand the full weight of the institution behind you. 2,000 years of relationships. 2,000 years of debts owed and called in. The Vatican doesn't have an army. It doesn't need one. It has information. It has legitimacy. It has the confessions of the powerful in 140 countries. You deliver your message. The ceasefire holds for 6 months. You are quietly decorated. You are summoned to Rome. Level 6. The bishop. You're 44. You oversee a diocese of 300 parishes and 2 million Catholics. You have a staff of 60. You have a budget larger than most corporations in your region. You attend meetings with mayors and ministers. You are consulted before elections. Your endorsement of a candidate is worth more than a television ad campaign. But the weight is not what you expected. A priest in your diocese has been accused. The file lands on your desk on a Tuesday morning. It is not the first file. There are 12 others in a locked cabinet. You call the Vatican's legal office. They tell you what they always tell you. Moved quietly. No police. The family compensated. The priest transferred to a parish in the mountains where he will have no access to schools. You do it. You know it's wrong. You do it anyway. Because the alternative, you tell yourself, is the collapse of the institution, and the institution, you believe, saves more souls than it damages. You stop sleeping well around this time. You start drinking a glass of whiskey before bed. Then 2. You pray for forgiveness and receive it, because you are the one administering the sacrament. Level 7. The Archbishop. You're 52. You manage an entire region. 30 bishops report to you. You attend the Synod of Bishops in Rome twice a year. You sit in rooms with men who run countries. The conversation in these rooms is never about scripture. It is about immigration policy, about which politicians are favorable to church schools, church hospitals, church tax exemptions, about the quiet campaign to influence the composition of the next Supreme Court, about the media organizations the church funds indirectly through foundations, about the television networks whose boards include 3 of your closest colleagues. You are no longer a shepherd. You are a strategist. You travel with a security detail. You have a personal secretary who reads your emails before you do. Your calendar is managed by a man in Rome you have never met in person. You are also a target. Progressive journalists want to expose the finances. Governments want to tax church property. Abuse survivors are organizing internationally. You manage the crises with a team of lawyers and PR consultants who bill the diocese €1 million a year. You miss the seminary sometimes, not the poverty, just the clarity. Level 8. The Cardinal. You're 61. The Pope himself places the red hat on your head. Red for the blood you are willing to shed in service of the faith. The ceremony is ancient. The weight of the hat is almost nothing. The weight of what it means is something else entirely. You are now one of 120 men in the world who will one day elect the next pope. Governments know this. Presidents take your calls now. Intelligence agencies try to cultivate you. One morning, a man from a European security service sits across from you in a private room and asks, casually, for information about another cardinal's financial activities. In return, he offers something the church needs in a country where the church is under pressure. You end the meeting. You report it to the Secretary of State. He nods and tells you it happens twice a year. You are now formally inside the machinery of global power, not adjacent to it, inside it. The Vatican's endowment is worth over $30 billion. The The investments span every continent: real estate in London, New York, Paris, and Hong Kong, equity stakes in pharmaceutical companies, bonds issued by governments that were once enemies of the church. You manage a portion of this. You report to no shareholder. You answer to no regulator. You answer to God, and God so far has not complained. Level 9. The Secretary of State. You're 67. You are the second most powerful man in the Vatican. Some say the most powerful because the Pope is the face and you are the hands. You run the Vatican's foreign policy. You sign treaties with sovereign nations. You manage a diplomatic network of 183 nuncios worldwide. You control the flow of information to and from the Pope. Not all of it reaches him. Some decisions are made before they become decisions. A country in Southeast Asia is persecuting Catholic priests. You negotiate their release in exchange for the Vatican's silence on a human rights report. A major donor has been indicted for financial crimes in his home country. You make calls. The prosecution quietly loses momentum. A progressive bishop in South America is gaining popular support that threatens the hierarchy. He is summoned to Rome for consultations and assigned to a theological commission where he will write papers until he dies. You do not enjoy this work. But you believe someone has to do it. The church is a 2,000-year-old ship in a permanent storm. Someone has to stay at the wheel. You sleep 4 hours a night. You eat alone. You have not spoken to your brother in 11 years because he gave an interview to a newspaper once. Your faith is intact. You checked last week. Level 10. The Pope. They carried you into the Sistine Chapel and burned a ballot, and the smoke came out white, and the crowd in St. Peter's Square erupted, and now here you are. The most recognized human being on earth. The spiritual leader of 1.4 billion people. The head of state of the world's smallest country and the world's largest moral authority. And you are utterly alone. Your predecessor left you 3 notebooks. You read them on your first night. You don't sleep. The notebooks describe things that cannot be written about publicly. Agreements made with governments that no official treaty could acknowledge. Financial relationships that no audit will ever reveal. The names of men in your own curia who are not loyal to you. Who have never been loyal to any pope, who are loyal only to the institution itself, which is something different. You make changes quietly. You shuffle the dicastery heads. You appoint your own man to the Vatican Bank. 2 weeks later, you find a note under your dinner plate. It is 1 sentence. It says, "The last pope who tried this died of a heart attack after 33 days. There was a pope who died after 33 days. His name was John Paul I. The official cause was heart failure. There was no autopsy." You stare at the note for a long time. Then you put it in your pocket. Then you go to the chapel and you pray. Not for protection, for wisdom. Because you're beginning to understand something that no theologian ever wrote down. The church survived emperors and plagues and inquisitions and world wars not because God protected it, but because the men inside it were willing to do whatever was necessary. You are the Pope now, and it is your turn to decide what necessary means. Level 11. The Archive. Somewhere beneath the Apostolic Palace, in a climate-controlled vault that does not appear on any public map, there are 85 linear kilometers of shelves. The Vatican Secret Archive. Letters from Henry VIII begging for an annulment. Correspondence between popes and Mussolini. Files on every significant political figure of the last 4 centuries. Documents that governments have spent decades trying to access. Documents that scholars have spent careers petitioning to see. Most of it will never be released, not because it proves wrongdoing, but because it proves something more dangerous than wrongdoing. It proves that the church has always known exactly what it was doing. Every compromise, every alliance, every betrayal, every miracle that was approved, not because it was miraculous, but because the church needed one that year. It is all down there, written in Latin on vellum that will outlast every digital server on earth. You are the Pope. You have full access. You go down once, you read for 3 hours, you come back up, and you never go down again. Some things you decide are better left to God, and God, as it turns out, has excellent filing.